into it. So good evening. This is our Tuesday night coach tips / health coach huddle. And one of the things that we decided for the OHC, instead of it being optimal health coach, it's OptaVia health coach or OptaVia health coach. So we're excited for tonight. We just got done with our annual convention / wellness retreat in Dallas, and we're pretty excited about what they offered and what they shared with us. Really cool, neat things. And so we're going to have today, and it looks like somebody to do the dishes.
Yeah, somebody's doing dishes.
But and so we got a couple things that we're gonna talk about today. But the big thing that I wanted to jump on and kind of talk to some of you are on this call tonight that weren't at the conference or our convention. And so one of the things that's really important as we transition, we've been Take Shape for Life now for 13 years. And the reality is, and this may seem a little bit sudden or abrupt, but Take Shape for Life is dead. How's that grab you? Right? I said this to somebody today and they said, well, actually it's just on hospice, but it's dying, right? And they think about it. There are some legacy condiment guides and some different things that are in our back office that are still branded Take Shape for Life. So it's probably not quite dead, but it's definitely on hospice and it's on its way out, right? And
so excited.
What's that?
I said I'm so excited.
Yeah, the reality where we're going is a really, really good place. And so we are super excited about that. And then the other idea is OptaVia, a coach that coaches for OptaVia is an OptaVian, right? And here's a joke for you all. A health coach that's a OptaVia health coach that doesn't eat meat is an OptaVegan. So thank you. That's all I've got for you tonight. And anyway, so that's what's happened there. And we are going to, TSFL is dead. Yep. So I want to thank you guys all. There's quite a few that are on tonight that were at our conference, that were there. And wasn't it fun seeing each other's faces and seeing each other in person? Oh man, that was such a great time. So awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to toss it over to, who am I tossing it to?
Me.
Hi, Kim. I think it's Kim. So take it away, Kim.
Yeah, well, we talked about as we are now OptaVia and we are OptaVians, it would be great, and hopefully you've got this queued up, Craig, so that we can actually read it. Kind of reminding ourselves of what the habits of transformational leadership are. And at least for a while, as we're becoming more and more OptaVian, just reminding ourselves of that. And so I was going to ask 6 people to read it. I thought it'd be fun to have some of the people that weren't at convention to participate in with us. So Eileen, would you be willing?
Can I do a quick 1 minute or 30 seconds on how these came about?
Sure.
All right. So just so you know what we're about to read, the company Take Shape for Life hired Helen Irwin and the Zenobia team, which is a brand marketing team for multi-billion-dollar companies, to come in. And the reason why they hired this particular company is because they're a heart-based company. They don't work with any brands that don't have a big goal to change people's lives. And so this was a great fit because they don't just do branding like a logo and branding like a name. They do branding such as what do people feel and what kind of movement is created after they've met that brand. And so OptaVia was birthed out of this massive process of finding out what we want, like the people who are making the transformations. And then so ultimately what we're about to read is we're about to read the things that came up from who we already are, but put into a language that we could really get behind. So this is powerful. So as we read this as quote unquote OptaVians, and I know it takes a little while to get used to being referred to as that, like just think of it like an Oregonian or a Washingtonian or wherever you're from, Ian. Think about embodying these statements. So take it on as kind of an identity and really see how it resonates with you. And do you agree with it at a deep level?
Great. So I'm wondering if we can have a few people, maybe Eileen, if you would be willing to read the first one. I can't even see everybody now on my screen.
You guys can raise your hand and then you'll queue yourselves up if you want to read one of these. We need 6.
Yeah, who would love to help us out here? They're short, just have to read them. Okay, so I see Lynn Ann raised her hand, so.
Jennifer raised her hand as well.
Awesome, and Linda?
Cool.
Do you see any more, Craig?
Ruth.
I see some future leaders about to raise their hands to help us out. Let's go.
All right. So we need 6. We've got, what do we got? Jennifer. We've got Barbara. Ruth, do you know how to raise your hand on the computer? If you click, for all of you that want to know how to do this, go down to where it says, or at the top where it says participants.
Mine's at the bottom.
Oh, well, since I'm sharing my screen, mine went to the top. But wherever you have the little control panel, click on Manage Participants, and then you should be able to see a pop-out window that'll say Raise Hand.
So it just says participants for those that are not the host, and then you'll see a little raise hand.
Yep, we got 5, 6.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, so Eileen Butler, you got the first one. So unmute yourself and read that first one.
Okay, habits of transformational leadership. We lead from the future, we act in the now.
All right, Alex.
Oh.
Yep, just that first one. Alex, you're up next.
We take responsibility. We play above the line.
Let that sink in a little bit. We're going to pause in between these. All right, Barb, you're next.
We seek growth. We embrace obstacles as the way.
That's a big one to swallow, huh? Okay, Brenda, welcome.
Thank you. We connect authentically. We cultivate trust.
So good. Jennifer Easton.
We awaken potential. We transform masterfully.
Mm-hmm. And closing us out, we have Linda B.
We deliver, we deliver extraordinary results. We serve to better mankind.
Mm-hmm. So what I see on those, by the way, is the first 3 have to do with inward stuff that have to do with me.
We deliver extraordinary results. Serve to.
I think Linda's trying to read that.
Yep. She must have a big lag, maybe.
Yeah, she must. But the first 3 have to do with us, and the last 3 have to do with others, which I thought was kind of interesting. So, back to you, Kim.
Yeah, so actually I'm gonna encourage you to talk a little bit more, Craig, because there's something that you said in our meeting at convention that I just would love for everybody to hear, if you don't mind. We were talking about how this is different. OptaVia is different than Take Shape for Life, and the simplicity and clarity it brings. Do you remember the analogy that you used?
Man, that was like 3 days ago. I took good notes too, but I don't have it on my notes.
about the map. Does that ring a bell?
The roadmap and the visibility.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's take down the habits so that we can.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Unfortunately, my mind is blinking. Give me a little helper.
I go back to my notes. Just that, I guess I would love for people to know that weren't there, the tools that are going to be coming out soon, and just as a company, the simplicity and clarity that we're continuing to get. And if we use that analogy of going on a trip or climbing a mountain, and we have this roadmap.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I was talking with I think this is the one I was talking with Dan Ballantyne, and we talked about when you're setting up a goal or setting up to go and do something, you don't pull out your roadmap and you say, you pull out your roadmap because you've decided to go somewhere. Like, let's say you decide to go to the beach. And so then you pull out your roadmap, you've made your decision to go to the beach, and then you pull out your roadmap, and then you go, now where's the route that I'm going to take? And he said, if you decide that next year you want to be FIBC, or next month you want to be FIBC, or you want to be a global director in whatever time, it doesn't really matter the time frame. That just matters how fast you have to drive, if you think about it, right? And so he said, you pick where you want to go. I want to go to the beach. And then second comes, how am I going to get there? How fast do I need to drive? When do I need to leave? How far do I need to drive each day? So he says, set your destination. And so a lot of these that first habit of transformational leadership is we lead from the future, we act now. So we think of ourselves at the beach, and then we take actions today that will move us towards the beach, if that's our destination.
Yeah. And the visibility, we don't need to know all of the turns. We really just need to know what's next, right? Mm-hmm. And so our visibility may only be a mile or two out, but you can be well assured that all of the steps are there. And that is, for me, that's a big deal, because there have been times where I've felt like I needed something. I didn't know where to find it. And now all of us, whether we're business leaders and we're leading other people along their path, or we're starting out brand new ourselves, you don't have to worry about, do they have the next thing that I'm going to need? It's there. And so that was a really exciting takeaway from
Yeah, I was thinking that, let's say you are going to drive to the beach, or you're going to drive somewhere that let's say it's 1,000 miles. You probably are just going to be paying attention to the next few miles or hours of driving. You don't really care what's going to happen 20 hours from now. You're happening what's going to happen in the next hour. And that's just like our coaches stuff. We've got really clear checkpoints, and that brings it. They have a bunch of tools and technology that is going to help us to say, here's where I'm at, what's next. And I love that.
Yeah.
I also that it's all in one place, right? We're not going to have to go to YouTube for this and go to Google Systems for this, and it's going to be a couple different places, but they're all going to be within OptaVia. So it's not going to be, remember this link or that link. So that makes it super simple.
Yeah. And for those of you that weren't there and you're thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to have to learn everything all over again? I just want to assure you that we have been in the process of becoming OptaVia all along. And so it's not necessarily going to be like, I got to learn all this new stuff and stressful. I think it's going to be a really just kind of breathing out, like, this is so much easier, and it's all here. And so as Craig and Danielle and I were talking about what to talk about here, one of the big takeaways that we all noticed, and that was said from the stage in many of the workshops, is this phrase: you can't do this alone. No one can do this alone. And so what's kind of cool is last week we were talking about community, and that's a perfect segue as far as the focus of being OptaVia. And so I heard this example I wanted to share with you. This was from Jared Smithson. I think it was a book that he had read, but he was expressing the fact that we're kind of messed up as humans. If you look at scientific models and you look at the smallest parts of an atom, the protons and neutrons, when that atom gets out of balance between the protons and neutrons, what happens is it seeks to find other protons and neutrons to get back in balance. And then if you go up a little bit bigger to molecules, if molecules are out of balance, it seeks other molecules to regain that balance in forming cells. And then when you get to the point where all these cells are together and they're a human being, isn't it ironic that when we get out of balance, what do? We usually run and hide and try to figure it out on our own, and can't figure out why we can't figure it out. And so I wanted to just have us all think about that for a little bit. Are we able to do much of anything on our own? I mean, think about this. would you like to take a vacation on your own? Without other people, do we ever know if we're caring or if we're truly funny, if there's nobody to laugh? Do we know if we're a good coach? We don't have anybody to coach but ourselves. Are we a good leader? We can't even follow if we're alone. So what's that?
I said, and we certainly can't grow personally. How do you grow alone? How do you become better alone?
Yeah. And so I wanted to take some time. I know that we have a lot of convention goers that went, and I was just curious if you could remark on that statement, what you learned this weekend, as far as you can't do this alone. Nobody can do this alone. What does that mean to you personally for the takeaways that you're bringing back and how you're going to be in action for yourself, your clients, your business?
Well, I'll start and just say that for me, it really underlined, probably triple or quadruple underlines that how vital it is to bring our clients to community immediately. So they say yes, bam, they're introduced to somebody in the team besides us ASAP, like within hours if possible, if not at the very moment, because that sets the tone for the rest of their journey. And we know that they need community to succeed. I just haven't seen it happen yet without being engaged with community, at least not over the long term.
Yeah.
Kimmers, can you hear me?
Yes. Thanks, Linda.
Hey.
Go for it.
Yes. Just want to make sure my audio keeps cutting out because I don't have good reception, but you were asking about the value of community in the context of what we do or just anything. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so passionate about this because I just know my own weaknesses and the areas where I struggle. And I've never been successful in any area doing it on my own. And that could look like I could get one piece of wisdom from someone else and that helps me move forward. Or there's a group of us doing something together and that moves me forward. But in reality, there's never something where I'm in a vacuum alone and I actually move forward, right? We're always pulling from the community. And it's the same as a client. Client just means you're on your health journey. It's the same as a coach. It's challenging working with people and helping them overcome struggles that they've been battling for years. And we need each other's ideas. We pick each other's brains. Kim, you and I were saying at convention that some of our favorite things are when we're just talking. We're just processing and we're grabbing all of this information from people. So yeah, it shows up everywhere. Sports, academics. So yeah,
absolutely.
I don't like it, but I do.
I'm right there with you, Linda. Thank you. Lynn-Ann, I saw you had something to share too.
Hello, everybody. It's so nice to see you back again. It was awesome in person. The thing about connecting with community, I don't know, there's that scripture about, if one of you falls, another one will be able to pick you up. You help each other out and you're stronger together. And I think at conference I heard someone, it was probably Craig though, honestly, the scaffolding idea that we are all interconnected and we're supporting one another, and where one person is weak, another person is strong, and we can have that interdependency because together we're stronger. And I love what Danielle said about a client comes in, and I think Craig put it, well, this is what we do. This is just what we do. Here's the community, and you're now a part of it, and you have the support. You have people around you to guide you, and it may not be your own coach. You might be in one of these and connect with somebody else, and they become your mentor. And I love that, each of us have a sense of humility and a desire to grow and a desire to learn and keep learning, you know, we're all supporting each other. I love that because we're not competing, we're helping each other. Anyway, now I'm going to babble. So
that was amazing, Lynn. That was really great.
So I have something to say. So it's kind of ironic that we're talking about community, and it's good to be back on the calls. But I subscribe to Our Daily Bread. It's a daily Bible verse, and the topic came up as building community. And so I just want to read to you what it first said. I was just shocked. I had to read it to Jim. I said, "You're going to believe this." So it says, community is a place where a person you least want to live with always lives. And then another one, it says, often we surround ourselves with the people we most want to live with, which forms a club or a clique, not a community. Anyone can form a club. It takes grace, shared vision, and hard work to form a community. So my takeaway from the conference was that learn to change. And my goal is to engage in some kind of conversation, whoever I'm at, whether it's the bank, the grocery store, getting gas, just to engage that conversation. Thanks.
Oh, that was great, Ruth. And with the idea that we're all our common purpose, our common unity is to become better versions of ourselves, us and help those around us that want to do the same thing. Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to share in on that. Wow. Something I feel is like revolutionary out of this event, and something that almost comes up every time, but today, or this last event, I say today, this week, it really hit me as in a group of words. And that is, seems like left to our own devices, when we isolate and we're by ourselves, we forget how amazing we actually are. Like each of us, like how much ability we have. And so hearing these stories from people who were the most skeptical, or people who were the most isolated or introverted, or the most stuff in life that was just jacked up, what they've been able to overcome and do, and the people they've inspired and influenced when they decided to not let their ego be in the front, but their true authentic self. Like, it's not even a matter of personal developing like you, it's a matter of personally developing enough. It's almost like you're already really great, but you've got to get the junk that's in the way, that's telling you something else, out of the way. And what inspired me to just say that was whoever was just sharing, I think it was, I don't know who it was, I'm just like taking it all in, about just really going up and helping others, or being available to other people without that dialogue stopping you from doing that truth, without the worry of the judgment, because they might say no, but for some reason the ego thinks that's like death, like that's the worst thing if I'm rejected. And it's so garbage. Like, that is such a garbage dialogue, but it doesn't feel that way. And I get that. That's the interesting part. It feels like am I alone, or am I the only one? Like, there was a lady walking across the street today in Galveston, and I'm not kidding you, she's about 450 pounds, and she was like, almost got hit by a couple cars because she could not speed it up. And all of a sudden in my mind, I'm like, what would keep me from going up and having a conversation with her? And talking to her, just in whatever. And a lot of you might have a lot of dialogue going on. Whoa, like that would be aggressive. You know that there are people that are now lean and healthy who have helped hundreds and thousands of people in OptaVia right now, who came because someone approached them, like at an airport, or walked up to them because they got the ego out of the way. And because the ego wasn't in the way, they authentically were able to come up with the words to say that person was like, I was just praying about something like this. Somebody would come up and it's, you know what I mean? Seriously, there are people like that. And I'm like, And I was driving at 40 miles per hour past like her or whatever. And my family was in the car, but I was like, in my head, there was this fear of like, you would never turn around the car to go say that. And I'm like, maybe someday I will. Like, anyway, I'm just telling you, that's come out of this to where now I'm challenging myself to become the kind of person who does not fear man, fear people, fear women, fear whatever your language needs to be, fear another person enough to act on the spirit or the intuition that's inside of me to be real without worrying about it. Anyhow, I know I went longer than I expected, but it was just amazing.
Wow, Alex, that's huge, because Diane and I just had this conversation about this whole idea of if we didn't care if they got angry, misinterpreted our intention or whatever, we know we're authentic. We know we're coming because we've got the goods. So why does it matter? Because if we just walk by that person forever, so I've done it. I've walked by the person. That person is forever in my mind. Forever. That's miserable. I'm telling you, it's miserable because I blew the opportunity to throw out the lifeline. And I'm thinking, you know, that's my own issue. That's my own ego, like you were talking about, in the way. And that's not God's work if I'm walking by. So.
Go ahead, Clark.
I was I'm off mute. Thanks, Greg.
Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
You're up next, Debbie.
I walked on the airplane 2 days ago to come home and had 4 leads in my pocket, 2 of which came from the airport. Walked up to a guy and coming out of the store from buying water and asked him if he'd stolen his shirt with an FBI sticker print on it. And we got to talking, and I'm supposed to call him on Thursday. And from a lead I got in a restaurant at the hotel, I'm talking to this guy and his girlfriend tomorrow with my business coach, for this guy being interested in becoming a coach. So yeah, Alex, exactly. You just take the opportunity and you just got to go for it when you're in that midst of just bouncing off somebody. You know, you'll never see him again, and you've got this short little period of time, and you do it. And that felt really good. And I got 3 more prospects today doing the same thing in a grocery store. So yeah, it's amazing.
You know, Clark, I want to applaud that. Lisa Castro said something, and you just reminded me of it. She talked about living in the present and how much clarity there is when you live in the present. When you live in the present, you're not worried about judgments that from the past experiences that you've had, and you're not projecting the future of what could happen. You're just there, and then there you are, 4 leads. Some of us are probably sitting here going, oh my goodness, I would never be able just to go up and talk to people like that. As you personally grow to become in the present, you will.
I did walk up to a guy. Yeah, I did walk up to a guy in a parking lot about 6 months ago and showed him my before picture, and he cocked his fist. But you know, that was a guy who wasn't ready for me. But so he's not a prospect or a client, but that's okay.
You know, and to hear you kind of laughing about that, you know, you're back to the present again. You're not worried about that. Obviously, that experience is pretty extreme, and you're probably scared like half the coaches away from going and talking to anybody now. Clark, thanks for that. But what I wanted to just say is clearly you've not let that cloud your judgment from going up to those. So very good. Yeah, there's a few spiritual leaders who took on a few beatings for telling the truth. So it happens.
Well, I haven't had to do that yet, but hey,
yeah, I know we're pretty good. We have a lot of grace here.
Yeah, pick yourself up and go see somebody else.
I love it, you guys. So we're wanting to stay true to our time. So love what we have spoken about. And so I would love to invite everybody to kind of lean in with me for a minute, because here's the important part of everything that we've spoken of tonight. It's the action, right? It's what's the next action to start bringing you to community, to start bringing more clients to community, to start bringing more people to community. Do you realize they don't even need to be clients to be part of our community? So I would encourage you that if you're not already doing this step. Text your coach right now and ask for at least a 15-minute meeting every week so that you can be tied into community. Because when you're tied in with your coach and your mentor, it's so much easier to pull other people in, because you'll be getting all kinds of love being poured on you and growth being poured into you, that you'll be more prepared to take those actions, and you'll learn more about how to invite people into that community. So take a minute right now, get out your phone, text over to your mentor, and let them know that you would like to make that regular connection so that you can be fully engaged in your growth, your process, your community. Because until we're engaged, we can't invite other people. We don't even understand what we're inviting them to. So that's what I'm going to encourage for all of us.
Very good. I want to give a quick shout out on two things. One is, if you're in motion, some of you are, I know you are, and you are inviting people on a regular basis. Sometimes that will be more than once a week. You know, there's some of you I meet with every day, just because you're bringing a lot of people on. And so you're doing 3-way calls and meet and greets and intros and celebrations. Some of you were dormant before, and you just started into that and you got reinvigorated, whatever that is. So sometimes it happens a little more frequently. Second thing I wanted to say is that Terry Miller is hosting on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, a convention recap. So you'll see that posted in the OHC if it didn't already get posted. But we just got an invite out today. Some of the leadership team did. So we'll get a little invite. So clear your calendar if you can for 8 a.m. It's worth getting up for. She's going to literally have some of the top people whose teams have been growing, sharing what the main things that have shifted in OptaVia since OptaVia has come on board, and what's gone away from TSFL and what's been added to be simplified. So it'll be definitely the place to be if you're wondering what happened at convention.
I just posted in the chat as well.
Thank you.
But it'll be on
There's
the
a Zoom number for 8 a.m. Pacific. And then Diane, I think I'm meeting on your Zoom number with you and Brenda. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
so Craig, will there be a power hour because of that, or are you going to just say no on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm probably going to just change power hour.
Okay.
To be on there, yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to close up here. I just wanted to say it was such a treat. Zoom is cool. It's way better than phone. But hugging you guys and seeing you guys and laughing with you guys, it's so fun. So thank you for sharing all that with me. I know you guys are all smiling. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I'm curious with you guys. Convention next year is a long, long time away. You got 12 months for it to kind of fade. I just want to encourage you guys to go buy your ticket for convention next year now, right? Because you know that this excitement that we have right now kind of fades a little bit over time. And it was a blast. It was really, really important. And I loved hanging out with Ben. I loved seeing so many of you guys and getting to know you better. So that was really a great time. So, all right, guys, we will see you again next week, if not sooner. See you next week, Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. And if you want to come to that thing on Saturday at 8 a.m., the number for that is in the chat, and we'll put it on the OHC, OptaVia and Health Coach, right? All right, you guys, have a good night. Thanks for joining us.